familiar with, well, if you're at all on the internet, you know what I'm talking about. If you are getting your news from the American corporate media, you may be completely unaware that last night at 4 in the morning local time, the Israeli military forces surrounded and then boarded the humanitarian aid ships from the Free Gaza Project and various other international groups on their way to Gaza with humanitarian supplies. In the process of this hijacking, which is exactly what it was, several people were killed. The number that seems to have the most support right now is 16, has been up to 20. At least 50, 60 people were injured. They're in hospitals for the most part, being kept away from the media. It's a very, very ugly situation. Israel is out there basically scrambling to try and contain the public relations disaster this has become. There is a lot of very bad information being thrown around, especially by Israel. The American media has just been completely shameless in granting Israel's official spokespeople unlimited access to the American airwaves while not showing any alternate points of view from the Free Gaza people or from any of their representatives. So it's a very, very hopelessly one-sided presentation, which is probably why, as of the last polls, less than 10% of Americans get their news from the TV networks. But our numbers, especially today, our numbers are right through the roof. In fact, we're dealing even right now with server overload from all the people tuning in to try and find out what is really going on out here.
ولكن نطلب بالتحرك العاجل لحماية هؤلاء المدنيين.
This is the MC Marmara. This is Hassan Ghani reporting for Press TV. We have had several injuries here. One is critical. He has been injured in the head. We think he may die if he does not receive medical treatment immediately. Another person being taken past in front of me right now has been seriously injured. We are being hit by tear gas, stun grenades. We have Navy ships on either side and helicopters overhead. We are being attacked from every single side. This is in international waters, not Israeli waters, not in the 68 miles exclusion zone. We are being attacked in international waters completely illegally.
A lot of people are calling this Israel's Kent State. And a lot of people who are a little bit older, with older memories, are calling it Israel's Amritsar. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, this goes back to Mahatma Gandhi and his efforts to get British rule out of India, and the growing upset with British rule and the growing public protests against the unfairness of British policies, which created this two-tiered society with the British on top and the Indians underneath, not unlike Israel, where the Jews are on top and the non-Jews are underneath. And it built to a point where finally there was a confrontation at Amritsar that wound up with a great number of Indian protesters shot and killed by British forces. And that was Amritsar. And the British hoped that this was going to send a message that the British government was not to be trifled with, but ultimately what it turned out to be was the turning point. And Amritsar is now widely recognized as the time when British rule in India started to come to a close. They lost the illusion of the moral high ground, and it was the beginning of the end. The same thing with Kent State in the United States, where there was this horrible shooting on the college campus where the National Guard opened fire on the anti-war protesters, and immediately sympathy switched to the peace movement away from the government, and the government never got it back, and ultimately the war in Vietnam was brought to an end. Not soon enough to save 60,000 American lives, but it was in fact brought to an end. So this is a very, very significant event here. Now there's a lot of claims being made, and some of them, actually, the Israeli propagandists are getting so desperate. Some of the claims they're making are almost laughable, would be laughable if in point of fact we were not talking about a lot of people dead and a lot of people injured and the potential for an actual real shooting war in the almost immediate future. Now here's what's going on. Israel attacked without provocation a flotilla of unarmed ships carrying humanitarian supplies to Gaza, flying the flags of numerous countries who support the humanitarian effort, including Turkey, Ireland, the United States, Greece, all these different ships. Now